say anything bad about the pillow guy or whatever, but, like, if you have a name for yourself and you have money, those are the people that get the assistance, not the Lone Ranger guy that's out there actually doing the work, right? So, the pillow guy, he has some problems with the government. And I'm not saying he's not doing a good job, and I'm not saying that he's not doing something that's important. But, he loses a few bucks. He's not homeless. He's still got millions of dollars. People are running, throwing money at him because he lost different accounts where he was making money. You have the rank-and-file individual who's out there on the front lines, risking their life, risking everything that they have, and nobody cares because you don't have a name. And, and it's really a sad state of affairs. And I see that over and over and over again. We see all these rhinos that are leaving the Democratic Party to run as Republicans because it's the only way they can get elected. The Republican Party, you go to them, you say, hey, this guy last week was a Democrat. Now he's running as a Republican. What's up with that? Well, if they say that they've changed parties and they've changed their philosophies, we have to let them in and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, that's baloney, right? Because they know what he's going to do. He's got all this Democratic money behind him. He's going to get elected, and then he is going to vote with the Democrats. But see, it's all the money game because they know that if that guy comes in, he's going to bring X amount of dollars with them. They're going to cut all these backdoor deals, up in the Capitol. And so it's business as usual. And let me tell you something. The Republicans are just as corrupt as the Democrats, and I saw it testifying before congressional committees where in the morning, oh, you're a hero. You're the best thing that ever happened to this country. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done. We've looked at your record. You've done more in 6 months than the other investigators have done in 60 years. Thank you so much. And they cut a deal at lunchtime. In the afternoon, you're Satan incarnate. So don't kid yourself. The Republican Party, and I'm not anti-Republican Party. I'm a Republican. I'm running as a conservative Republican. But just because you have Republican behind your name does not make you a Republican. You need to look at how those people vote. You need to look at where they were prior to joining the Republican Party. You need to look at everything that they're doing in the office that they hold. Don't just flip the switch because, they've got Republican behind their name. You have to make sure that their goal is to limit the power of the government and protect the rights of the citizen. So if they're voting to increase the power of the government and reduce the rights of the citizen, they're not your candidate.
Amen.
So,
thank you so much.
That's pretty straightforward right there.
What's that?
Pretty much.
That's pretty straightforward.
I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, it's like, I've been tested by fire time and time again, right? So the only thing that the Republican Party cares about now, okay, we have to be fair, even though the other two candidates recently just joined the Republican Party. And prior to that, they were, I'm not going to say they were, I can't say they were Democrats. I believe the one guy was an independent, but their whole careers, they backed and worked for Democrats, okay? So their take on things is a Democratic philosophy. So the first debate that we had, they said if an unconstitutional law is passed where your gun rights or where the federal government wants to take your Second Amendment rights away, what would you do? Well, their answer was, we don't pick and choose the laws we enforce, and if the federal government passes a law, we're going to enforce it. So my response was, it goes against the Constitution, it's an illegal law, and it's not enforceable. And I also told them that, the other statement I made is that mandates and orders are not laws. As a sheriff, as a policeman, as a federal agent, whatever, I don't have to enforce any of that stuff because it's not a law. And I'm not hired to enforce policies and procedures. And basically that's what they're trying to get you to enforce. So I won't do it. and nor would I ever do it because, again, a mandate and an order is not a law, and it is unenforceable. What makes it enforceable is when you have a corrupt official, like a mayor or a sheriff, who decides that he's going to enforce those mandates and orders. They don't have to. They can go, look, kiss my ass. I'm not doing it. And I can't tell you how many times I've done that.
You raised a very...
approached.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say I can't tell you how many times I've been approached by the federal government as a police officer, and they say, we would like you to do this, whatever it is, doesn't matter. We would like you to do this. And I'm like, based on what? Well, we're trying to get statistics, or we're trying to get this, or we're trying to get that. Okay, well, what's the purpose? Well, we really don't have a purpose. We're just trying to get statistics. Everybody else is doing it. We'd like you to do it as well. And I'm like, get out of my office and, kiss my ass and get out of my office. You're wasting my time. It's not constitutional. I'm not going to do it. I could give a crap about your statistics. I don't believe you. You're trying to establish a list of people and locations that you can go after at a later date. You're gathering intelligence in an illegal manner and trying to call it statistics. So get the hell out of here. And, of course, they don't like that. So there's always retribution for that as well, or at least attempted.
So you're running for sheriff, right, Steve?
Yes.
You're the hero, man. You're going to save that county. What county are you in, and these folks got to vote for you?
Well, you say that, but again, apathy is what kills our government, right? So, technically, I'm the outsider, right? I wasn't born here, wasn't raised here, haven't lived here, my whole life. So you're going to get people who are apathetic. They're going to vote for. I would like to think, and I believe that I will win this election, okay? I truly believe that. But that doesn't mean that a large percentage of this population, it's going to be a close race, will vote for those other two guys because they know them, because they've lived here. They don't care that they've never done anything. They don't care that everything they've touched is turned to trash. They don't care about it. It's like, oh, well, I know him. I've had coffee with him 2 or 3 times, so I'm going to vote. And that's one of the problems with the public. It's like you hear someone's name. I'm going to tell you a story about how this female judge got elected. She's a total lib. We had a judge in a particular area that I was working in, and his name was O'Brien. And the only reason I'm not giving you all the details is because I don't want to get sued. I don't have the money to support it anymore, but it's a true story. So his name was O'Brien, and he was a great judge, and he was in office for a number of years. He decided he was going to retire. So a female who was not of his caliber, who was very liberal, literally legally changed her last name to O'Brien because people don't do their research. So when she got on the ballot for judge, everybody was used to voting for the previous conservative Judge O'Brien. So all they saw was the name O'Brien running on the Republican ticket and flipped the lever. And she got in and stayed in. And as far as I know, she's still there. So that's what I'm saying. Apathy actually destroys our Constitution. It destroys our rights, and it keeps us from the protections that we are awarded under the Constitution, because we're putting people in office who could care less about you, who could care less about your rights. They're constantly trying to overreach their authority, and you put them there. I don't mean you guys personally, but, the U.S. citizens put them there, and then you start crying. Oh, this is happening, that is happening. Or you ask people, you say, what'd you vote for that guy for? He's anti-gun. He says he wants to take, I'm not a one-issue voter. I have to look at the big picture. It's like, dude, right. The big picture is he's going to come in. That's the first thing he's going to take, and then he's going to take everything else from you, and he's going to take every penny that he can squeeze out of you. So, this one-issue voter stuff is a bunch of baloney. It's like you got to look, anytime somebody wants to remove one of your constitutional rights, they should automatically be out. Instantaneously, you don't want that guy. And people don't look at it that way because, you know, we live in a world, and again, I'm generalizing. I'm not saying everybody's this way. Obviously, I'm not this way. You guys aren't that way. There's a lot of people probably listening to this show that aren't that way. But, you know, people want immediate gratification, right? They want something for nothing. They have an over-exaggerated sense of entitlement.
Excuse me.
And so they want the candidate that promises he's going to give them something, right? Oh, if I get into office, you know, we're gonna give you more money. We're going to make sure that you make more money per hour. We're going to give you extra food stamps, whatever it is. And so that's what they want, something for nothing. And then when you look, again, at the big picture, and they talk about, you know, oh, the crimes that are committed with firearms. And then they you know, show you, you know, all of these atrocities that were committed with firearms. They're always committed in the most restrictive states and cities in the country. They're not, you know, they're not committed in the, you know, in the average neighborhood. It's always the most restrictive areas that have the, you know, the most criminal activity committed with firearms. And additionally, the reason that happens is, you know, I mean, and I hate to sound like an NRA commercial, but it's because in those areas only criminals have guns. So when you take guns away from law-abiding citizens, that's what you get. All you got to do is look at Chicago, look at New York, look at Los Angeles. If you want to look, you know, a picture of how this country is going to look unless people get off their butts and start fighting back, and I don't mean, you know, taking arms and attacking the government, but literally going out there, you know, attending when these candidates show up, attending these meetings, throwing their record in their face, getting people to vote for the Constitutionalists. Until that kind of thing starts happening across this country, we're screwed.
Amen. Steve, real quickly, I have Nathan, who's a caller who wanted to come in and talk about the Constitution. Before I break,
okay.
Steve, what is your last name, and also what is the office that you're running for, state and county?
My last name is Doran, D-O-R-A-N. I'm running for sheriff in Izard County, Arkansas.
Awesome. Can you please stand by? We're going to let Nathan chip in, and we'll get back to you in a second if that's okay with you, Steve.
Fine.
Nathan, you're on the air.
Chauncey.
How are you?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not able to be on tonight because I have to work. I drive a gas tanker, and people are panicking. But I got a list of about 5 different things to throw out at you to get you thinking. And then next week I'll be there if you guys want to follow this. But first, in the preamble, it says, "We the people of the United States," not "we the politicians of the federal government or various states," or "we the politicians of the two-party system." It says, "We the people." And I believe the founders were when they did this and they sacrificed, they were we the people. But yet at the same time, they had a broad peasant class that lived off the land, and they were educated and came from wealth. And they did sacrifice greatly for it. And if I ever meet them, I would bow and kiss their foot and thank them for the freedom I've had. But I just want to point out that we the people in the preamble, and then in Article 1, Section 1, that mentions the people vote for the Congress, and mentions the qualifications that the Congress is supposed to make for the electors. In the 14.2, Section 2, the second sentence, when the white men got the first right to vote on paper, it mentions they vote for the electors of the president and vice president and the president, and down the list, Congress and Senate. And then later on, in the 12th Amendment, it mentions the president and the vice president are 2 distinct, separate elections. And if you remember back in the last, in the 2020, Mike Pence was like the big thing that everything hinged on. But if you read the 12th,